NYPD officer, now a WJNO radio host in Florida. And John, I've already gotten some emails and some tweets from people say, let's not, even when we find out the name of this guy, let's not say the name, let's not show his face. Did that really change anything when the media, we report who these people are?
I think the media should, and there is a connection here the media is missing. Alex Scarlatos, the National Guardsman who stopped the Muslim terror attack on the train in France, is from the same town in Oregon. And so I think law enforcement certainly has to look at that, maybe retribution as a motive. And I think the name and potentially the background of the shooter might become incredibly relevant. Again, unconfirmed, I'm hearing that this is an investigative angle from law enforcement, but certainly seems to me to be a one that they should pursue. Well,
I'm sorry, but in our day and time, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
The more we wait, the more all kinds of suspicions come up about him. Really?
Yes.
Who is this guy, and what was he up to?
Yeah, and I think not releasing the name only adds to that suspicion. The police have killed him. They know who he is. They have his body in custody, and it certainly, with this connection to the Paris train attack, begs a ton of questions. And I think the police would serve themselves and the public very well by releasing that info to quell the speculation if it's not terror-related, and to let others know to be on guard in the towns where those other Americans who thwarted the attack are from, and to let the authorities in those towns know and the public to be on guard.
Well, I brought this up with an earlier guest, but I mean, at this point, it's 5:49 in the evening on the West Coast. If your person, your loved one, hasn't come home from college yet, that name's, it's going to get out, and I would think that the police would want to control that rather than let the rumors about the families that must be wondering, was my loved one hurt? Are they in a hospital? Are they dead?
Yeah, you know, Tom, going from law enforcement to media, I'm sometimes really disappointed and disturbed by some of the smaller departments and how their public information officers handle this information. It really doesn't serve any master. And in fact, like you say, I mean, you nailed it. It does an injustice to the families of the victims and others that might potentially be victimized.
It also, I don't know if you heard earlier, but we had a state senator from that area who said there's over 100 police officers from all kinds of different agencies that are there. Is that also a problem?
No, you know, I think in this case it was a bit interesting. From what I understood, I spoke to law enforcement sources in the area right after the shooting happened, and the ATF apparently, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, agents apparently heard this over an emergency network and raced to the scene. So I think the initial response by law enforcement, as many law enforcement personnel on scene as they could get, is good, but it does certainly cloud the investigation, especially in a smaller jurisdiction. You know, LAPD, NYPD, Chicago know how to handle these types of things. But a smaller jurisdiction, there might be some confusing as to chain of command and tactical command centers and control.
Who's in charge? Who's in charge?
Right.
John Cardillo, thank you very much for joining us from Fort Lauderdale.